Welcome to Section 5 of the LSIP online system training covering the analysis portion of the survey submission. The position deficiency analysis requires that you review the system's tentative identification of deficiencies and determine which are actual deficiencies and which are mistaken identifications. The most common reason a mistaken identification will occur is that one of your divisions has 25 or fewer employees. When this is the case, you are allowed under statute to meet the requirements through use of an interpreter rather than a bilingual employee. So if you have an interpreter contract in place and your employees have been trained in how to use it, you would write in your analysis that there is not a true deficiency for that unit. Click Report here to view the report. In this case, I haven't entered contact information for most of these categories, but the sample reporting group here, the sample reporting unit, is where we've entered data. It shows the number of contacts in each category. Cebuano, although it has 0 contacts, does appear because we've identified that we have an employee who speaks that language. For Burmese, we've identified 7 contacts. This is annualized to 182 if the amount during the 2-week survey period is consistent with the amount throughout the year. That, however, is only 0.55% of contacts, so you're not required to provide service in that language. The requirement to provide service occurs once a language reaches 4.5% of the total contacts for that unit. For instance, Spanish here is listing as 25%, so it is required to provide service in Spanish. The number in the needed column shows that with the current number of employees, this would be the number that would have to be certified in order for the ratio of contacts to employees to be the same as English in this target language. So for Spanish, 1.76 FTEs of our employees would need to be certified in order to provide equivalent service and meet the letter of the law. This unit has 7.05 public contact staff, and as stated, if the entire staff of the unit is 25 or fewer, service can be provided through an interpreter instead of through bilingual staff. That is what you would indicate on your deficiency analysis. However, if the unit exceeds 25 staff, you are required to have sufficient bilingual employees to provide equivalent service, in which case you would identify within the deficiency analysis that this 1.76 sample reporting unit is a true deficiency, and then you would develop a plan to resolve that deficiency. Certified bilingual here shows the number of employees within the unit having a bilingual certification, qualifying them to fill a designated bilingual position. The not certified bilingual area shows the number of employees who have identified that they speak the language but have not passed the certification test. If you have a deficiency in an area and you have non-certified employees speaking that same language, testing those employees would be a primary solution to resolve your deficiency. If you do not have any employees within the unit that speak the language you need certifications for, you will need to hire someone. However, the law does specify that employees may not be dismissed in order to hire bilingual employees, and that positions would need to be filled through regular attrition. Closing the report. When you upload your analysis, it must be either a doc file or a PDF. You would check this box. You would click Choose File, pick where your file is located, and then select Upload. On the other hand, if your report does not indicate any position deficiencies at all, select this button, and in either event, next to continue. Next is the Position Deficiency Corrective Plan. This shows the units for which a potential deficiency has been identified. For each, click Update if through your position deficiency analysis you identified that the position deficiency is smaller. Change the number here, put in a 0 if it is not an actual deficiency at all. For instance, if the unit has 25 or fewer employees, or if only part of it has been resolved. For instance, if employees who speak Spanish in another unit are able to cover 10 hours per week, which would be a 0.25 FTE, we'll put this at 1.51. Then we need an action to correct. So, test non-certified Spanish speaker within unit and advertise for bilingual applicants when English only public contact employees separate. We'll plan to do that by March 15th of 2021 and then update the plan. If you have proposed actions to correct the deficiency that are not short enough to fit within these fields, you may upload a supplemental file. Click Next to continue. The document translation portion of the language survey requires that you identify all materials required to be translated. Under the Dimely Aleatory Bilingual Services Act, once a language reaches 4.5% of all the contacts in one of your units, all documents in use by that unit to provide information to the public or to collect information from the public must be translated into the threshold language. Additionally, they must be distributed through all your department's offices. CalHR recommends distributing documents only electronically to offices that do not provide support in the subject area covered by translated documents. In order to make changes to a document already listed in the Identification of Materials area, click the Update Delete button. If a new language has been identified as reaching threshold in one of the offices that uses this document, select the new language here, identify whether or not the document has been translated. Click here to update. If a document has been retired and is no longer in use, click here to delete the document from the list, or click Cancel if you want no changes to be made to the document. I'll do that in this case. If one of the units reaching threshold uses a document not already on this list, click Add New Document. Select the type of material, put in the title, select the language that has reached threshold into which the document must be translated, and whether or not it has been translated already. We'll add this document so that you can see the next steps as we go. Click Next to continue. The Written Materials Deficiency Corrective Plan page lists for each document the languages into which translation is required but has not yet been completed. In the Translation Plan box, identify your plan to resolve this deficiency and the date by which this plan will be carried out. Click Next to continue once you've completed all of the translation plans required. The Anticipated Vacancies page requires that you report how many vacancies in public contact positions your agency anticipates before the next language survey. The Act anticipates that this information may be of use to you in planning for resolution of staffing deficiencies. You may need to work with your human resources unit to identify anticipated vacancies. Click Next to continue. Every agency is asked to submit a bilingual services policy. If you have one in place, click Yes, my agency department's bilingual services policy has been uploaded below. Choose the file and click Upload. If you do not have a policy, click We do not have a bilingual services policy in place. This acknowledges that CalHR will contact you to assist with policy completion. You would click Next to continue. This concludes the analysis portion of the language survey training module. Continue to the next segment for information about reporting.